There are times when a world does not collapse because of war. It collapses because blessing quietly leaves. And in one ancient myth, heaven itself learned that lesson the hard way. The light dimmed, fortune vanished, hope dried up like a river in summer, and no one knew that the one they were desperately waiting for was still hidden in the deepest part of the cosmic ocean. But what rose from that ocean was not just wealth. It was Lakshmi, the truth that prosperity never stays where pride lives. Long before lamps were lit in her name, before lotus petals became her symbol, before people whispered prayers for abundance into the night, there came a time when even the heavens felt empty. The gods had power but not peace. They had status but not security. The glow of fortune that once surrounded them had faded. Their halls were no longer radiant. Their confidence had begun to crack. It was as if the universe itself had withdrawn its smile. And that was the wound no one spoke of out loud. Because losing strength is painful, but losing grace, losing blessing, losing the unseen force that makes life bloom, that is a different kind of fear. So the devas sought a way to restore what had been lost, and the answer did not come gently. It came through struggle. They would have to churn the ocean of milk itself. Not alone, but with the asuras, the very beings who desired power just as fiercely as the gods feared losing it. Enemies would have to pull together for the same impossible goal, to bring forth Amrita, the nectar of immortality, from the depths of creation. And already, the story was saying something profound. Sometimes even light must wrestle with darkness to recover what matters most. Mount Mandara became the churning rod. The great serpent Vasuki became the rope. And when the mountain began to sink beneath the unbearable weight of the task, Vishnu took the form of Kurma, the giant tortoise, and held the entire burden upon his back. Then the churning began. The ocean roared. The heavens shook. Foam rose like storm clouds. Treasures hidden since the beginning of time were stirred awake. The sea was no longer just water. It became a place where desire, fear, ambition, and destiny collided. But what emerged first was not a blessing. It was poison. Dark, terrible, world-threatening poison. And that moment matters more than people think. Because the myth does not say that the path to abundance begins with reward. It says that when the deepest layers of existence are stirred, pain comes up first. Buried things surface, toxic things rise. What was hidden can no longer remain hidden. Only after that terror passed did the ocean begin to reveal its wonders. Celestial treasures emerged, sacred beings rose. Splendor flashed across the waters. The whole cosmos watched, breathless, as one mystery followed another. But none of them were the true turning point, because then, from the luminous heart of the sea, a lotus began to bloom, slowly, silently, almost as if the universe itself was remembering beauty. And from that lotus, Lakshmi arose. She did not crash into the world like thunder. She entered it like dawn, radiant, serene, clothed in red and gold, lotus in hand, light in every step. Not merely beautiful, but calming. Not merely wealthy, but whole. In some tellings, even the heavens stood still when they saw her, because what rose before them was not just a goddess of riches, it was the return of harmony. And yet, the most powerful part of the story was still to come. Everyone wanted Lakshmi. The gods wanted her blessing, the asuras wanted her power, the heavens wanted their fortune back, and why wouldn't they? Who would not want abundance to choose them? But Lakshmi was not dazzled by crowns. She was not seduced by noise. She was not moved by hunger disguised as grandeur. She looked beyond ornaments, beyond speeches, beyond status. She looked for something else. Balance, steadiness, a place where prosperity would not be worshipped for itself, but guided with wisdom, and that is when she turned toward Vishnu. Not the loudest figure, not the most desperate, not the one begging to be chosen. She chose the one who could sustain what she represented. In that single moment, the myth changed its meaning forever. Because Lakshmi did not unite herself with ambition, she united herself with preservation, order, and dharma. That is the twist at the heart of her story. Fortune is not truly safe in the hands of those who crave it most. Prosperity does not stay where there is greed without responsibility. Beauty does not remain where there is vanity without reverence. Lakshmi chose Vishnu because abundance, without balance, becomes destruction. And suddenly, the story was no longer just about a goddess rising from the sea. It became a truth about life. How many people chase wealth and lose peace? How many chase recognition and lose themselves? How many want the glow of Lakshmi, but refuse the inner order needed to keep that light its hysteria into ruin? That is why Lakshmi remains such a powerful figure. She is not only the giver of gold, she is the reminder that true fortune includes grace, dignity, nourishment, beauty, fertility, and the quiet fullness that makes life worth living. In sacred images, she stands or sits upon a lotus, and that symbol is no accident. The lotus blooms from muddy water yet remains unstained. It tells us that purity is not the absence of hardship. It is the ability to rise through it without becoming it. That may be the most healing part of her myth. Lakshmi came from a churning, from turbulence, from conflict, from a sea violently disturbed. In other words, she was born from a process that looked like chaos. And maybe that is why her story still speaks to people now. Because there are seasons when our lives feel like that ocean. Everything is being stirred. Nothing feels stable. Old pain rises, fear rises, exhaustion rises. Even the poison we thought we had buried comes back to the surface. And in those moments, it is easy to think nothing beautiful could possibly come from such disorder. But Lakshmi's story whispers otherwise. It says, keep going. Not every breaking is an ending. Not every disturbance is destruction. Sometimes life is churning because something sacred is trying to rise. Maybe your peace has not abandoned you forever. Maybe your worth has not disappeared. Maybe what feels like loss is only the painful beginning of revelation. And when Lakshmi finally appears in the story, she does not merely restore the heavens, she restores perspective. She reminds the gods and us that blessing is not something to seize, it is something to become worthy of. That is why, in many traditions, she is welcomed not only with lamps and offerings, but with cleanliness, gratitude, generosity, and reverence. Because abundance is not just invited by desire, it is invited by alignment. Deepest lesson of Lakshmi is this: do not measure wealth too quickly. A peaceful heart is wealth. A home filled with tenderness is wealth. The ability to give is wealth. Self-respect is wealth. Wisdom that keeps success from poisoning the soul, that too is wealth. And maybe the blessing you are chasing will arrive not when you force it, but when your life becomes a place gentle enough to hold it. Because Lakshmi does not only ask, what do you want? She also asks, what kind of heart will receive it? And that question lingers long after the myth ends. If this story touched something in you, share in the comments what true wealth means in your life right now. And if you know someone who is going through a season of inner churning, send them this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more stories that heal quietly and stay in the heart.